watch this video, guys. This all praise to our creator, the energy source that is in us, that we are transferred from, because we come from a transferred energy. Okay, because we are energy. We never had a beginning or an end. We already existed, and we are part of the greater source, which we like to call our creator, which is just an energy source. We call it an it. It has no body parts, no he or she. If anything, we are the body parts. Now, this is an important video because this is something I've been telling everybody for a long time. We gotta go to raw fruits and vegetables, and I'm giving you more evidence to prove it. We don't go for the names. This guy will say a name. Skin diseases that we do get from food. We get them also from smoking. They're passed down to our ancestors by doing any of the heathen ways, such as smoking or eating cooked food. We're not supposed to eat cooked food. Or meats. We gotta go our fruits and vegetables, like I've been saying for a long time. And this is just another video that's going to prove further what I've been telling you by educating you. Okay, and this video is only for educational purposes. Okay, here we go. Oh, also not only that, but if you're, now he's gonna mention skin disease, he's gonna break it down. So I'm gonna break it down for you. There's two different skin diseases. You can get skin disease, such as, there's all types of skin disease, but it doesn't change your skin to white, like a white person or outside nation person. Okay, that skin disease of being white or an outside nation person of lighter skin is actually a skin disease, which comes from the devil. Now, however, they got the skin disease over time, which you can figure out by doing the devil's ways. Of course, he was their children, and he were black at one point, but also taking on his ways, such as eating certain food. Now, the reason they have enforced these things, trying to make us eat certain food, okay, and set it up in that way so that we can become more like them. So what we need to do is, like I keep telling everybody, we gotta go to raw fruits and vegetables. Watch the video.
Especially if you're eating chicken, because they want them to reproduce faster. So they sticking them with all type of sexual steroids. So that come on to you. Then most of the food is died up through stress. So you're getting all them stress, melanin neurotransmitters that come from the food. So, and you have to look at promotion-wise when it comes to food psychology. Hot dogs. What is the concept?
What you do frequently becomes your frequency. It's about more so the connection between food and sex.
The food that they eating got sexual hormones in it. Especially if you're eating chicken, because they want them to reproduce faster. So they sticking them with all type of sexual steroids. So that come on to you. Then most of the food is died up through stress. So you're getting all them stress, melanin neurotransmitters that come from the food. So, and you have to look at promotion-wise when it comes to food psychology. Hot dogs. What is the concept of a hot dog? And why do a hot dog go between buns? What about pizza? How pizza is used for pedophiles. It's called Pizzagate. But you see, pizza represents the upside down triangle, which represents the womb of a woman. So food is sexual. A word that I call estrogen annihilation. That's what's making us very feminine. That's what's happening with the THC and the weed. That's what's happening what they're putting into all the food. And if you look at synthetic estrogen, it is a magnesium inhibitor. And a manganese inhibitor, you can't produce zinc, and zinc is what works with testosterone to create your actual seminal fluid, or what we're gonna call semen. So, if you eating all these foods that's high in estrogen, high in all these different acidic acids that's being left behind as byproducts of synthetic chemicals that they putting in the food for additives and preservatives. These preservatives are literally not only behavior modifiers, but they're sexual modifiers too. That's what's really messing with us, man, and cutting off our circulation. I started studying a lot, and once I realized that, dang, estrogen is naturally supposed to be in my body, but I'm not using the natural estrogen in my body. I'm using the synthetic estrogen. Right. Dang, that's robbing me, because estrogen is not, synthetic estrogen is an iron phosphate inhibitor too. We need that for oxygen. We need that to convert all types of other different steroids over. So I'm starting to see that the food was robbing me of all the minerals and all the melanin neurotransmitters that I need to keep a balance of homeostasis. So I say a good transitional diet will be the late great Dr. Sebi diet. That's a good transitional diet, going the alkaline way and then cooking the food, so-called cooked alkaline food is a very good transition. But after that, you have to graduate from that too and go on to the raw side and stop putting fire to your food, which is changing the chemical composition of the food anyway. But if you truly want to yield high vitality and high living and keep your thoughts clear and be in vibration with your creator, you have to do things all on how the creator planned it to be. If we was meant to cook our food, we would have something in our anatomy that creates fire. Like a dragon can breathe fire from its breath. Yeah. You know, if we was meant to eat meat, we would have claws, we have canines, we have short colons. You know, we'd sleep 16 to 20 hours a day. We'd be horizontal where we can get up to 70 miles an hour to track down our prey. We don't have none of these things. If we was meant to cook, the Creator Yahweh would have created pots and pans in the wilderness where it was pots and pans there. So if you look at the animal kingdom, I've never seen them get a pot and pan and cook their food. I've never seen them use oil to cook their food. I've never seen them fry anything. They rely on nature's natural resources, and we see that animals live longer than us. Why is that? That's because they are adapted to their natural habitat. You know, we are not. We have been put in an artificial environment and given us these concepts of cooking and these concepts of what true food is. Everything starts from that primitive gut tool. It's three things that's created simultaneously at the same time. That's the nervous system, the primitive gut tool, and something called the lipid sac. The lipid sac is the actual lymphatic system where it can clean up all the byproducts that the baby is getting from eating all the food that mother eats. Then you also have that blood. The blood and lymph is called the interstitial fluid of the body. This is all talking about the same chemical composition. From there, you got the primitive gut tool where everything grows from. They call it the ectoderm, the mesoderm, and the endoderm. And when you start looking, and this is how holistic health is, your skin is made from the same cells as your brain. So if you have a skin problem, something is wrong with your brain. You start looking at your internal organs, they made for the same thing as your eyes. So I just think we need to be re-educated and taught of what true love is, and that love for self is going to make us research health. Yeah. It's going to make us research food. It's going to make us research religion. It's going to all have to start with that self-love. But, you know, again, we letting people create our environment and putting us in these tanks. The ground is malnutrition. They done completely messed up the soil. The fruits that you're eating now are lacking a lot of their vital nutrients and nutrition. Even the Sabi diet, a lot of this stuff is lacking the stuff that wood had in there hundreds of years ago because what they doing to the earth, man. But if you look at it from a physical standpoint, just physiology, you look at it from our small intestinal tract, even when you get into the pH balance of something called trypsin, amylose, the way our mouth and our salivary glands produce these alkalining breaking down agents, we are frugivores.
People don't believe that you can break down the sugar that's in fruit because they think of it in the same way they think about white sugar, and why you can eat fruit without worrying about the sugar aspect.
Oh, of course. So when you got sugar, you got three main bases of sugars. You got galactose, you have fructose, which is actually naturally occurring in your fruits, and then you have glucose, which is naturally occurring in your vegetables. So that your fructose yields 12,000 angstroms of energy. Your glucose or your vegetables only yield 9,000 angstroms of energy. Fruits is good. The only way I can heal diabetes 1 or 2 is by way of fructose. When you get somebody with diabetes and they're insulin dependent, you have something called the islands of Langerhans. So they'll say that sugar raises the glucose. You're a glucose load on fruits, which is a total lie. Every diabetic patient that I've had that had 1 or 2 hyperglycemia that had or diabetes mellitus, we healed them on an all-fruit diet with herbs. Now, this is the reason why. Fructose. When you eat fructose bypass the pancreas. The pancreas has something called the islands of Langerhans. You have the alpha cells, which produce glycogen. You have the beta cells that produce insulin. Then you have the delta cells that produce something called somatostatin. Somatostatin is a mixture of a growth pituitary hormone, and it's mixed with glycogen again. Well, in order to actually break down glucose and put glucose in the blood to penetrate a cell, that's what insulin does. Insulin is used as a key. So insulin is a key that take glucose, unlock the cellular membrane, and then the cell swallows the glucose and eat it. Then it gets actually broken down and metabolized by something called the mitochondria, and then you yield something called ATP, ADP, and AMP. Adenosine triphosphate, adenosine monophosphate, and adenosine diphosphate. This is the energy. So we talking about carbon. Carbon is on your periodic table. All carbon is sugar. Sugar breaks down into carbon. Carbon, what happens is you eat some sugar, right? You eat the sugar. Once the sugar gets converted in the body, it is CHO. What the conversion is taken out of that hydrogen, because hydrogen is acidic. So once you take the hydrogen out of the CHO, it's just carbon and oxygen. This is alkaline. So sugar is alkaline. What's not alkaline is when they take the sugar out of something like a corn, because corn have natural fructose, and then they burn it and change the chemical composition because they put fire to it. The moment you put fire to it, it changes the chemical composition. Now they're heightening it. So they call this high fructose corn syrup. Now it's no longer a fructose, it becomes a dextrose, or it becomes a pentose, which is a 5-sugar phosphate, or they call it sucrose. These things are called polysaccharides. See that we're not talking about monosaccharides. Monosaccharides Glucose is what's in your fruits, what's in your vegetables. Polysaccharides is what they're creating in these men's laboratories. That's what's bad for us. But back to the fructose. Let me show you how amazing fruits is. If you are diabetic and your pancreas is down because whether it got a fluke worm in it, Fascioloscus buski worm in it, a hookworm, a throat worm, usually you find parasites inside of the pancreas when somebody is suffering from diabetes, and you find that mucus is down or the adrenals are down because the adrenals is in control of something called the autonomic nervous system. The prefix to autonomic is auto. These are things that runs on autopilot. Digestion is supposed to be on autopilot. The flickering of your eyes is on autopilot. Your breathing and your lung capacity is on autopilot. The heartbeat is on autopilot. All these are controlled by the parasympathetic, sympathetic, autonomic nervous system. Well, your pancreas yielding insulin, that's a nervous system issue because the adrenals are down. And the reason why the adrenals are down because you're eating the wrong foods, and these foods are creating toxins and byproducts that you're not getting out of your body because you haven't opened up the lymphatic system and the kidneys to filtrate all of that toxemia out, or your skin is not working. Now check this out. That's the pancreas being down. So what food can I eat that don't break down the glucose? The only other food that I got is fructose. Now, would you glucose load for a couple of days? Yes, you will, because you introducing your body into a new sugar, but it's a natural occurring sugar by Yahweh. So you have two types of digestion, right? You have pancreas digested enzymes that break down the actual glucose. Not only that, the pancreas yield the islets of Langerhans and yields insulin to turn that key to bring glucose to the cell so you can have energy. Fructose completely bypass the pancreas. It go a lipid route. This lipid route is through the liver, and then it's called cellular infusion, where the actual sugar. The government articles written up on this, and we have the clinical trials with at least 100 diabetics that prove this stuff, that we healed them on an all-fruit diet with minimum herbs.
Which fruits have the greatest production for ATP?
High-yielding fruits, the fruits that grows the highest to the sky. So now we're talking about carbohydrates. And all that is carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen mixed together. So once that oxygen get out, these are called high-yielding carbon constituent chains.
Like bananas?
So bananas will give you a high-yielding ATP, but bananas are on the starchy side. So I never recommend anybody eating bananas that's trying to cleanse, because now you're going to start building up a whole lot of glycogen on the liver. So we would say things like mangoes, coconut water, very electrical, cucumbers, very electrical. Now we're starting to get into something that you would call H3O2 change, not H2O, which is water like this. See, this water dehydrates you. That's why the more this water you drink, the more dehydrating you are. See, the beautiful thing about fruits is not only can you eat the fruit to get the macro substance, but the micro substance, which is the structured jelly water called H3O2 in it, is your hydrative factor. So you're supposed to eat your fruits for your water and for your macro constituent. And we're talking about the actual mycelium network. This is an invisible network that everything is. Without mushrooms, we wouldn't even be here. Everything exists off this mycelium network. But guess what is the main chemical constituent of mushrooms? Carbon. Well, guess what carbon is? Sugar. Glucose, galactose, and fructose. So even when you get into the mushroom kingdom, you're still talking about a high sugar diet. Remember I was saying about embryology, you have the endodome, the ectoderm, and the mesoderm. Well, your skin is made from the same cells as your brain and your nervous system, and it's where hair is for. Hair is an extension of your nervous system. Hair is also a eliminated organ too. Yeah. It's a eliminated organ. It's a limited, but it's most definitely a sensus. These antennas. So basically, the body scans the environment by way of the hair. You got hair on the outside of your body, and you have hair on the inside of your body. And you got Merkle discs. You have weathery sensory discs that shows the temperature, how to regulate your temperature to your thyroid. That's how you get goosebumps or the hair stand up on you. Like, even though our eyes and our ears is not hearing, you still have your skin, which is the true 6th and 7th sense, that is very familiar with everything that's going on around you. So if you look at it from a scientific point, they say that we are looking at the universe through a peephole that you put through a key through. So you looking, you only gonna see what that peephole allow you to see. But there's different frequencies and vibrations, or what we're gonna call CO2 constituents, which is nothing but light and vibration. And that's where all things truly exist at. So, for instance, you have something called a dog whistle. You can blow that dog whistle all day. Can we hear it? No, but do it wake up the neighborhood and dogs start barking, showing that there's frequencies as such on a high sensitive level that we're not in tune to no more.
At 19 hertz, you understand me, human hearing disappears. Like, we can't hear below that. So it said that fear frequency, 19 hertz.
19 hertz.
Right? So a lion has it within their roar, right? But they also put it within movies and things of that nature. Like you might be a grown man watching a scary movie, wondering why you shivering. It's not that your heart fears it, it's that it's literally sending a frequency. They call it the ghost frequency as well, because you can't hear it, but you feel it, right? And that's what creates the differentiation between your senses. Like there's something there, I can't see it, but I feel it. So your body is jumping, trying to figure out what's happening. So they entrain that within the frequency of, the movie. So the whole time you on a low vibration, you being fearful. So I thought about that because, we in the belly of the beast that's built off fear. This country is built off fear. This marketing built off fear. Everything is built off fear. If I can keep you on that fear frequency, I can control you. But if you ever, ascend more so to that height, you understand me, beyond that beast frequency to the birds, you understand me, and to the higher self, then that's when you can heal and that's when you live above it.
So what about the language of the bird? Get into the language of the birds, and one of the good ways to do that is starting at the table, eating high frequency foods. Food that grows highest, closest towards the sun, where that sun is really beating and permeating on that food and giving it all of its energy and all of its codes and data. Like, for instance, papayas. That's 12,000 years old. That's 12,000 years worth of information that we can eat and we can download and open up our Akashic records and start really getting into our cosmic libraries and learning old language. Because every language we already exists inside of us. Every event that will ever happen or already happened already exists inside of us. So we can start unlocking that junk DNA if we start with the food, and that's why I got into health the way I really did, because I realized that this is a good way to open up Pandora's box when it comes to healing holistically, spirit, mind, and body. Food that grows highest, closest towards the sun.